Hi, I'm Kevin, and welcome to the channel. If you like what you see here, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. We love to have you here. So I want to talk about the Neural DSP Morgan Amp Suite. I want to tell you kind of the story about how I came about trying this thing out, and maybe you guys can relate a little bit to this. But I live in an RV, and so my studio is literally 4 foot wide by 6 foot long. And I just don't have a whole lot of room to work with miking a bunch of stuff. And in the last couple years, I've been really focusing on building my studio stuff and getting better at recording and making videos and working on that. But my main experience has been with live playing. I've been playing live forever, and kind of put that on the back burner for a little while I'm working on this YouTube stuff. And so my issue was I just didn't have the room to mic a bunch of amps all the time, and I really thought, it might be time to check out one of these plugins just to see how they sound. So over the years, I haven't been really happy with any of the other amp mods and all that sort of stuff. I even remember back in '98 when I first went on the road, the all the singers and stuff were constantly on you about oh, you need to get a pod, you need to do this, you need to do that, the amp's too loud, the amp's this and the amp's that. But I never would budge on it because I just didn't like the way it sounded. I didn't like the way it felt or any of that stuff. So I've been keeping tabs on it over the years. I'd never lost faith that they would actually get good at making an amp sim at some point. But I feel like now with the Neural DSP amps, this is the closest I've ever heard to a real amp. And not only with how it sounds, but the way that you play with it. When you put a set of headphones on, it really encapsulates everything about playing with an amp. Down to the intricate details of how you play with your right hand and with dynamics and all that stuff. And I was really shocked. So they had a trial thing, and I tried it out. I thought, you know what, I'll give it a try just to see. And plugged in my telly here, and just fell in love with it. And I was like, wow, this thing is just so cool. It sounds great. It's very versatile. There's a lot of stuff to do. So I even tried like the Tone King one, and I even downloaded a couple heavy metal ones just to kind of get a feel of what they sounded like and stuff. And I kept coming back to this Morgan one, man, and it's this wonderful, wonderful thing. Let's just kind of run through some of the stuff and take a look and see what we got. This is what it looks like when you first pull up the amp. And so there's a bunch of different presets and a bunch of different, all kinds of cool, really cool stuff. So what it'll do is, this is your pedals for before the amp, and you have a really nice compressor here. It's got level compression and mix on it. There's a overdrive that's similar to like a Tube Screamer, that sort of thing. And then there's a more crunchy overdrive. I kind of, it gets a little fuzzy to me, but it's all right. And then they have a tremolo on there, which is really nice. The tremolo sounds warm, and it really reminds me of like those old Fender tremolo type of things there. The first amp is the AC20, and it has a power, cut, and volume. It also has a bright and a dark switch and a high and a low switch. So you can mix the power and the volume to dial in that just about the right amount of overdrive that you want to have for your breakup and different things like that. And then the cut acts as a presence knob. So it's pretty simple. It sounds great. I love this first model. The PR12 is, I think, similar to like a Princeton 12 or something like that. A lower wattage Fender combo amp. And it has something called Dual reverb, bass, treble, and volume. So the Dual will let the reverb ring out longer or bring it back in. It's sort of a decay for it. And so you can dial in the reverb even a little more. There's also reverb at post effects too, so you could actually have both those reverbs working together to get you some wild shit. Now, obviously the bass and the treble do their thing, and then the volume, you can Obviously, the more volume you get, the more breakup you're going to get. But you can also take this input here and back off the input a little bit and make up for it in the output, and you can get it even cleaner. So that took me a minute to realize that you could actually do that. And then on the third one is SW50R, and this has the reverb, level, bass, mid, treb, bright and a dark, and a high and a low switch on there. One thing I found interesting about the volume and the level is if you crank the volume up and you keep the level down, it'll get a little bassy sounding. But if you crank the level up and you turn the volume down, it's a little trebly sounding. So there's a little nuance right there that if you just sort of work it to the best of your ability, you can really get some neat sounds out there. And obviously it has the reverb there too. So those are the 3 amps. And then you can run to your cabinet settings, which has different mics, and you can move the mic around wherever you want it. It's a single 12 inch speaker here, and there's really a lot of options you can deal with. I don't mess with that too much just because I seem to be pretty decent at dialing in when I need to dial in, just leaving it the way it is. It also has a EQ, and this is another thing that I don't really mess with a whole lot. I did at first because I wasn't figuring out quite all. I do for some things, but not for a lot of others. So it's just nice to have, though. You know, like you can really dial in what you need as you need it. And then this is the post effects. There's a really great delay. This thing does like everything. You can get like a nice tight slap delay with it, or you can get some of that really long, beautiful, spacey delays, and it's got a tape drive and a width and the feedback on there. So there's a lot of stuff you can do with that. And then obviously the other reverb here, which is just a regular reverb, that it does all kinds of cool reverby things. So you know, it's a lot of like, I do a lot of like listening and tweaking, and you know, I probably don't necessarily explain it the clearest, but it's just a lot of, you know, playing around with. And then you have, then you have up top here, you have your input, which which basically it will make your input signal a little hotter or a little cooler, you know. So you can really dial down the input on there, and it'll clean the amp up quite a bit. And then you have to make up for it in the output, though, because obviously if you turn down the input, it's going to be quieter. So you can actually, there's a couple things on there where I felt like there was a little bit too much dirt, too much grit. And so I ended up dialing back the input here, and then turning it up a little bit more on the output there, and it worked out pretty good. And then you have your gate, which obviously if you're playing high gain stuff, that's you know, really helpful. This transpose thing is really cool. You can actually move your tunings higher or lower, however you want to. And so like if you're learning a song, you don't have to retune every time. You can just you know, like if you're learning a Stevie Ray tune, it's an E flat, you can just bump it down and you are good to go there. And then the input mode is mono and stereo, and that deals with all the fancy stereo stuff. And then here's the really cool thing. This is the all your presets. Like here's the Neuro DSP presets that come with this thing. Here's all the artists that have theirs. And here's mine. And you can see here, I've only had this thing for like 2 months, and I've already got like a bunch of different presets. One cool thing about it is like when I do a video or something and I dial in a certain sound, I can just, you know, name it and forget about it. And if I ever want to go back to that sound or whatever, it's all right there, which is really awesome. So, and then you have, where you can save all your presets, where it says save as, that'll save all the presets that you want to do. And then this thing is called the doubler. What this does is it makes your sound a little bit more full. And then obviously you have your output right here, which basically, you know, it is what it is. You can get a signal that will clip sometimes or whatever, so you just got to make sure you're not clipping or any of that good stuff, and then you're good to go. that's pretty much the amps and finding a way around here. Anyway, I recorded the song and I really wanted to showcase how the different sounds and the different things come into play with the different guitars and all that. So what I'm going to do is just isolate each track, show you the settings that I'm doing, and then, play the song for you. I hope you get some interesting info from this. If so, please give it a like and subscribe, and we will see you on the next one. Thank you.